Coal has been the lifeblood of North Staffordshire. Without it, there would have been no pottery industry here. Coal and clay were found together and near the surface, and this area became known as the Potteries. For generations it fired the pottery ovens and supercharged the furnaces of iron foundries. Coal mining in North Staffordshire can be traced to the 13th century. The transport revolution of the 18th and 19th centuries enabled clays suitable for making whiteware to be brought here, to the coal. And at the height of the Victorian age, King Coal was one of the region's primary employers, with entire communities built around its workforce.
I've worked through shovels, picks, spades. You knock your own timber up, you've got a stint of coal to get rid of, 15 yards of coal. And believe me, that was work.
The dust would be that thick you could hardly get your breath, and men would be coughing and spluttering as they come across. Of course, the heat and all would get over you, sweat would be pouring off you.
Mining coal was a highly dangerous occupation. Throughout the 20th century, there were nearly 1,700 coal mining fatalities documented in North Staffordshire. After nationalisation in 1947, safety did become a priority, and at that time there were 22 working pits in North Staffordshire, employing around 35,000 men. Of the 4 all-out miners' strikes of the 20th century, 3 were called to improve working conditions, safety and parity of wages. The miners' strike of 1984-85, however, was different. This strike was about preserving jobs and safeguarding the communities that depended on them. After 12 months of attrition, the great industry on which the British Empire had been built declined rapidly, and the effects of pit closures significantly transformed the United Kingdom's market economy. Stoke-on-Trent's last colliery, Hem Heath at Trentham, closed in 1993, and with it, the city's industrial landscape vanished forever. The fight against pit closures ceased with the closure of Silverdale Colliery in December 1998.
ago. It did not start because the Miners' Union wanted to give up work, nor did it start because of bloody-mindedness on the part of the union. This strike was started because the National Coal Board, on the instructions of this government, decided to close our pits and make our members redundant. Prior to that, in November 1983, we introduced a national overtime ban. That ban was introduced to secure two things: better wages and conditions, and the fight against pit closures to be successful. At the present time, our industry produces the cheapest deep mine coal in the world. Our miners work in the most sophisticated, technologically advanced industry in the world. Our industry has given sacrifices that have almost been unthinkable in order to make this industry, to quote their words, competitive. We are being rewarded with a closure program. is not one single area that's safe from this attack. And I want to make it clear that areas like Nottinghamshire are very much in the firing line. If this closure programme were to go ahead, it would mean 70% of closures in the North East, 70% closures in South Wales, 70% closures in Scotland. It would mean in South Nottinghamshire and North Derbyshire 50% of closures, and even in North Notts and Yorkshire there would be between 20 and 25% closures or mergers.
Maggie, Maggie, Maggie!
Well, I'm 58 years of age and I've only got another 2 years to go before I can take my early retirement. I came from Durham in the 1960s because of pit closures and came down here. And the reason that I'm back in this strike is not for myself personally, but for all the other people, and the young people especially, in other areas such as Kent, South Wales, the North East and Scotland, where pit closures will mean absolute calamity to them. The places where they live will decay, and the young people in those areas will be left without hope.
The board are not merely closing down pits, which are uneconomic. They closed a coking plant in South Wales that has made a profit of £1.5 million a year for the last 10 years. They've closed a pit in South Wales called Wyndham Weston. It had only got a small amount of coal in it. I better read it to you because you'll not believe it. This pit had coal reserves which were limited. 965 years. There's something wrong with the situation where they require 10,000 police in order to ensure that certain members can go through picket lines.
A bloody load of pansies! Hold these hands, you feel safe then! Let's go to the bloody toilet like that!
But when they talk to us about guaranteeing the right to work, there are 4.5 million people who want the right to work and have every right to go. It's ironic that when the NUM call upon the members to take strike action and stop work on a temporary basis to ensure the right to work, we're called mindless militants. When McGregor threatens to throw into the door queue 70,000 of our members on a permanent basis, this bunch from the media described that as good business sense.
On Wednesday night, I was standing at Emmy's Gate supporting the South Wales miners on the picket line and voicing my opinions to the scabs who were going through on the buses, when one of the police inspectors, who whenever he's come on the colliery, trouble has erupted. And in every instance as he's arrived on the colliery, there have been arrests. He himself was going along the picket line, pointing men out as to their, indicating that they were ringleaders as such. I myself was arrested along with 5 other pickets, one who was from South Wales. The rest were from Hemmeath. We in total got a fine of £1,000, and when we went into the court, we spoke to a solicitor, the duty solicitor, who informed us that the case was virtually hopeless because, as such, being a picket, you were guilty before you entered the court because you were on a picket line. You were prejudged both by the media and, of course, the people who are sitting on the bench. To me, it is a crazy situation. British justice at the moment is just totally a waste of time.
The women are on the march, not merely to work in kitchens, they're on our picket lines fighting with us.
There are now 10 food centres in the North Stacks coalfields set up by the efforts of miners' wives and others. This organisation shows quite clearly we are willing to support the miners in their struggle and able to organise efficiently to fight as one with the miners to gain victory in this dispute. Women are usually shown in the media as good little housekeepers, urging their wayward menfolk back to work on the boss's terms. They've not had this opportunity this time, nor will we give it to them. This time we are fighting alongside the men on equal terms. We've been on the picket lines with the men. We've been pushed around by the police. We've been threatened with arrest. Well, we've got a message for them. Arrest or not, we'll be there again and again until... The government and the NCB clearly intend to starve the miners back to work. We don't get strike pay. A man and a woman with 2 children to feed have to live on less than £20, including family allowance a week. About the same as McGregor spent on a single meal, which he probably claims expenses for anyway. Striking miner gets nothing at all. They've been told to go to the Salvation Army. We desperately need help and support for the miners who are facing real hardship in defence of all our jobs and our futures. We need both food and money. And if people have second thoughts about donations, they should ask themselves this question: how safe are their jobs and their union and their futures if the miners lose? We need that support to carry on this struggle, and with that support, we will carry on and win. Is it tiny?
Together if you want.
We want big precise, you know, that's it.
Fill the bag up.
Who's doing the beans? Neil?
Yeah.
I'll put them all together up the corner then, shall I?
The intention of the board is clear: to close down pits which have vast reserves of coal in them, but which the board claim are no longer an economic proposition. Well, I've got news for them. Not only are we not prepared to see men thrown on the dole queue, but we want a shorter working week. We want early retirement so that our sons and our daughters can have the right to a job in this industry. Women in the industry and miners' wives demonstrated in South Yorkshire against the pig closure programme. The women are on the march.
We give you on telly, look. You're on the television now. Go down in posterity.
We are women, we are strong. We are fighting for our lives, side by side with our men who work the nation's mines, united by the struggles, united by the past. And it's here we go, for the women of the working class.
We are women, we are strong, we are fighting for our lives, side by side with our men who work the nation's mines, united by the struggle, united by the past. And it's here we go, for the women of the working class. You don't need government's approval for anything we do. We don't need their permission to have a point of view. We don't need anyone to tell us what to think or say. We've strength enough and wisdom of our own to go our own way. We are women, we are strong, we are fighting for our lives, side by side with our men who work the nation's mines, united by the struggle, united by the past. And it's here we go, for the women of the working class. They talk about statistics, about the price of coal. The price is our communities dying on the dole. In fighting for our future, we found ways to organise where women's liberation failed to move. This strike has mobilised. We are women, we are strong, we are fighting for our lives, side by side with our men who work the nation's mines, united by the struggle, united by the past. And it's here we go, for the women of the working class. Ours is a unity that threats can never breach. Ours an education books or schools could never teach. We face the taunts and the violence of Thatcher's thugs in blue. When you're fighting for survival, you've got nothing nothing left to lose. We are women, we are strong, we are fighting for our lives, side by side with our men who work the nation's mines. United by the struggle, united by the past, and it's here we go, for the women of the working class.